What's shaking, world? Minasan yokoso. Welcome to the Layup Line with Nick Fazekas and John Ramey. I'm Ramey. College basketball takes center stage this week in our national sporting consciousness. This happens because of the NCAA tournament and the preceding conference tournaments that produce breathless, season-defining moments almost every day for the next 4 weeks. In this space, we believe the best of 7 series is the second greatest human invention after the wheel. 7-game series certainly produces a more deserving champion than the college basketball postseason format. However, a full month of Game 7s that stretch from the tiniest conference quarterfinals to the national championship on April 6th quite correctly captures our sporting attention and imagination. Survive and advance is not only good advice for college basketball teams in the postseason, it's a good message for humanity. Nevada basketball's path to the NCAA tournament will only come through the automatic bid for winning the Mountain West tournament. And while we record this on Monday, March 9th, we can already feel the tension in the guts across northern Nevada ahead of the Wolfpack's opening round rematch with Air Force Wednesday afternoon in Las Vegas. We'll gut check with March Madness veteran Nick Fazekas next on the Layup Line. Welcome to the Layup Line. I am John Ramey. Joining us from Scottsdale, Arizona is the all-time leading scorer in the history of Nevada men's basketball, Nick Fazekas, the Hall of Famer. Nick, it's March, and before we start speculating about the tournament, let's just put a pin, or let's close the loop on the regular season. Nevada wins on senior night on Saturday, this past Saturday, against Air Force by 15. The regular season is done. Nevada wins 20 games, and they win 15 games at home. How do you feel about the Pack at the conclusion of the regular season?
I mean, of course, it's nice to win, John, just to get that last dub in the column, and yeah, it's just crazy to think. You know, I feel like back in my day, it was like if you got the 20 wins, you were like really on the bubble, and it was like you were feeling good about your chances. And I feel like that's changed a lot since even when I played. That 20 wins is no longer a lock. I actually got a text from one of my buddies who watched that game and asked me if we were a lock, and sadly we're not. But yeah, getting a win, it was a decisive win over a really poor Air Force team. You know, the scary thing is it's always hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. I know Air Force has only won 3 games all year, but it's also a little bit tricky getting that 3rd win in a row. I can remember that was a big thing for us back when I was playing. And it got kind of into this 3rd leg of the season, and you were seeing teams for a 3rd time in a row. So, you know, you got to come in locked and loaded into that Mountain West tournament, but definitely a good thing to go and get that last win for senior night and kind of send those seniors off with at least one more win in Lawler.
So again, this will air later on in the week, and people will have the results. But just for those of you, keeping track, Nevada plays Wednesday at 2:30, and then if they beat Air Force again, they will face Grand Canyon, the 4 seed, at 2:30 on Thursday. And then it gets real interesting because then you're into the quarterfinal round. But you were talking about locks, and let's just engage in a little speculation here. I'm looking at the net rankings right now for the Mountain West. Utah State, net 29. So Utah State can probably afford to not win the Mountain West tournament. They can probably get an at-large. After that, New Mexico, 45, San Diego State, 47 net. I mean, if the Aztecs or the Lobos don't win the tournament, they are very much on the bubble. And I think that's what you were getting at earlier. You know, the Lobos have won 21 games.
Exactly, John. It's 21 games, and you're sitting with that kind of net ranking where it's like all of a sudden some things happen in the SEC or the ACC or the Big 12, and one of those locks kind of gets knocked off, right? I mean, all these bubble teams are sitting there watching these big tournaments or these big conference tournaments and hoping that the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds are the ones that are getting it done. They definitely can't really afford to see the Cinderella come through one of the Power 5 conferences and win it, because it just takes up another bid. And then, at the same time, some of the mid-majors where it's just kind of like you're on the bubble versus another mid-major, it kind of just becomes a very discretionary thing by what the selection committee is going to do. But sometimes it feels that like San Diego State probably has like the edge up on a team maybe like on New Mexico because they've had some good showings in the NCAA tournament, and that could be an edge for them. But yeah, I mean, the fun thing about this Mountain West is it's wide open. You see these top 4 seeds, and I think everybody's kind of beat everybody. I know Nevada has only not beaten San Diego State, so it's going to be interesting to kind of get through this first round, and then you get to see GCU, which was a crazy win in Reno, but you got to wipe the slate clean, and this is March Madness.
Okay, you were on a team that got hot in the conference tournament. It was the WAC conference tournament then, and you guys stayed hot and went all the way to the Sweet 16. Now, basketball is basketball. It doesn't matter if it's being played in November or March, right? It's a 40-minute game. The hoop's 10 feet high. We can do all the Hoosiers measurements, but like, what was different, if anything, about how that run felt? What the mentality was, what the suchness of the game, in the moment of competition was like?
Well, John, it's just interesting, right? Because it's some guys. I mean, you saw how many guys are going to be done on senior night and how many guys got their jerseys framed. I mean, this is the last hurrah. I mean, there's multiple guys that will probably never play basketball again. There's guys that are going to go do the overseas thing. There's guys that are going to do the G League, and then you obviously got guys that are going to play in the NBA. So it's kind of a mentality that this is the last time with your brothers in this uniform. So I think if you kind of take that and harness that, then you kind of walk into the conference tournament thinking to yourself, like, I'm definitely going to do everything I can to make sure this dude next to me goes out on a high note if this isn't your senior night, or maybe it's both of your senior nights and you're kind of upset that you're never going to get to share the court with a guy like the guy that's sitting next to you. So I think we were able to harness that. I was a freshman at the time. It was my first conference tournament. We were in Fresno, and yeah, we just caught fire. I mean, we got really, really hot, and then it kind of just kept going, and you're just playing at a high level. And like, I'll be honest, that team, we could not win a road game. It's kind of similar to the team right now. They really, really struggle on the road. So there's that optimism from my behalf that you definitely are playing in a neutral site, right? It's not going down there and playing UNLV in a UNLV arena. But the nice thing is it's not a big travel day. You've been down there. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of March Madness, is that you have to play these games. It's not chalk anymore. It's not what's on paper. And again, I've said it before, but wipe the slate clean. You're 0-0.
I mean, am I being a little bit too optimistic? And certainly I've been accused of that before. We have a close relationship with the program. We tend to see the optimistic side of things. But Nevada shoots free throws well. They get to the free throw line. They generally don't turn the ball over. On a good night, they have really good, if not elite, guard play. Classically, those are characteristics of teams that do well in the postseason. I mean, can you see a scenario where this Nevada team can win some games here in March?
I think 100% you can see this scenario. I mean, like you said, elite guard play is usually what dominates in March. A lot of these teams that make deep runs, they do have that elite guard play, but there's a lot of recipe for success with what Nevada's kind of accomplished this year. Like you said, with lack of turnovers, that's a big thing, because as you get into these tight games, late in games, and you've got the ability to get a shot versus turning the ball over, that's a big swing in things. And yeah, making free throws to ice games is also another, silver lining of what's going on with this team. So they do have the recipe. And I mean, like I said, you've beaten everybody but San Diego State. So I don't think you really walk in to any arena or any gym or any game that kind of makes you think like, we can't beat these guys. So it's like, you got to wipe whatever you've had on the road going on and kind of forget about that. You're going to stay in the hotel. You're going to be in Vegas. But like at the end of the day, you got to walk in with that chip on your shoulder and just have the belief that you can win that. And I hope coach is, preaching that to these guys. And I hope these guys are willing to buy in, because this is the last run for a lot of these guys.
And hopefully by the time you're watching this episode of the Layup Line, you figured out that Nick Fazekas is anchoring Mountain West Network coverage pre-half and post of every game in the Mountain West tournament. And of course, every game Nevada plays, Nick will be with me on the radio broadcast on 95.5 FM here in Northern Nevada, and on the Varsity Network and the Varsity Network app. We'll take a timeout on the Layup Line. We've drilled down on the Mountain West tournament, but there's that great big national tournament right on the horizon. So we'll look at the field of the upcoming NCAA tournament when we return on the Layup Line.
The following segment is sponsored by Bradley, Drendel, and Janae.
Fazekas and Ramey on the Layup Line, and the field of 68 coming up after this week's conference tournaments. Nick Fazekas in Scottsdale, John Ramey in Reno. You got trivia for me, big man?
I got trivia for you, John. So we're sitting here talking about the NCAA tournament. I was asked this question the other day. So, John, what do all the NCAA tournament champs have in common since 1989? There's one sort of deciding factor when you're picking your NCAA tournament champ and filling out that bracket that every single team since 1989 has had in common.
They have come from a multiple bid league.
Every single champion from 1989 to now has had a first-round NBA draft pick.
Oh, okay. Good one. 89. That's Glenn Rice in Michigan. I don't know since then. That's a good trivia. There are some like through lines kind of in the modern era. I do believe at least in the 21st century every champion has come from a multiple bid conference. But let's look at this year's field, Nick, and you know, let's be honest, this is an embarrassment of riches, or this is a luxury for me because I can talk to Nick about the NCAA tournament. How many did you play in, Nick?
I played in 4. I was fortunate to play in 4.
Nice round number.
Nice round number. Nice round number. Nice amount of years I was allowed to play college basketball. But yeah, I can remember every single game pretty vividly, John. I mean, I can go back to like specific possessions. I can tell you all the teams that we played. I can tell you all the venues we were at, cities. I mean, it's a very memorable part of my life. I think it's very memorable for a lot of guys that get to do the NCAA tournament. I can still really remember that first year. I begged my dad to come to the NCAA tournament when we played in Seattle. That was my very first year, and I was like, Dad, we might not ever get to do this again. You know, and then what was really cool, we got to the Sweet 16. We were in St. Louis, and my dad drove over, so he was able to see us play in the Sweet 16, which was actually the furthest I've ever gotten. But yeah, I mean, it's a memorable experience, and there's a lot of stuff that comes with the NCAA tournament that a lot of like the generic fan don't really see on the outside.
Okay, so this year it's kind of a fascinating field. You've got Florida, the defending champs, who are suddenly playing very well. You've got Duke that has kind of risen to the top. They're the number 1 team as we tape this. You've had Michigan and Arizona, who have kind of been the top dogs more or less for the longest stretch during the season. And of course, UConn is going for 3 championships in 4 years. So, I mean, I don't even mean to make you pick a champ right now, but like, who are you keeping your eye on?
I mean, of course, I'm sitting here in Scottsdale, so I've watched a lot of Arizona, and Arizona just looks tough. I mean, they look really good. They just don't have very many weaknesses. There for a bit, it looked like Michigan just had so much, and then they've kind of not fallen apart, but they kind of had a little bit of a lull. Duke's obviously got those amazing freshmen over there, and those guys have just kind of like been churned out at Duke. I mean, you had Cooper and you had Kahn last year, who they just kind of couldn't get it done against Houston. But now it's like a fresh new crop, and it all just feels like those kids have played in so many high-level like AAU games that I don't even know if it really bothers them to play in these NCAA tournament games. But I mean, it's going to be a fun field, right, John? I mean, it's very wide open. I think that number 1 spot has kind of like fluctuated. Like you said, Duke is now kind of taking it over after Arizona kind of had that threshold on it. But I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, filling out that bracket is never easy.
Okay, what about Miami of Ohio? They have a perfect regular season. They're 31-0, and their net on this Monday is 55. They're going to have to win the MAC tournament to not be on the bubble. You go 31-0 and you're on the bubble. That seems unfair.
I mean, it's so unfair, right? I mean, it kind of goes back to the college football playoff, and you know, the college football playoff just like takes so much scrutiny for how they selected, and you saw like the Tulane get in this year and just didn't, you know, keep up a fight. But I just feel like basketball is so much different. And I just feel like you hope the selection committee does Miami of Ohio some justice. And no matter what happens in their conference tournament, I'd love to see those guys get in. Because, I mean, yeah, to go 31-0, I don't care who's in front of you. That's a pretty special season, and you deserve an NCAA tournament bid. I would hate to see some losing record SEC team get in just because they're in the SEC and they get their 14th bid versus a Miami of Ohio. So I'm pulling for the Red Hawks over there in Miami. I really hope they can win their conference tournament, get in, and put that undefeated record on the line.
Okay. When we come back on the Layup Line, we're going to have golf chatter, the Players' Championship, Sawgrass. I know Nick Fazekas will have some takes on this, so stay tuned for that next on the Layup Line.
The following segment is sponsored by Nevada Department of Wildlife.
Fazekas and Ramey with you on the Layup Line. I am not a golfer, but Nick is. And the Players' Championship in Florida this weekend. You have Scottie Scheffler and you have Rory McIlroy, both two-time champions trying to become a three-time champ, and only Jack Nicklaus has done that. First of all, is this the fifth major? Nick, you're locked in on golf. That's the chatter around this event.
That is the chatter, John, and I believe it is the fifth major. I mean, they've made that Players the biggest purse on PGA Tour now, and that's kind of something that I think has taken this tournament maybe to the next level. But I think it helps with the players that each and every time they're playing at Sawgrass, so you kind of know what the lay of the land, you know what you're getting yourself involved in. You know, I know Rory kind of came out several weeks ago and talked about how this tournament almost has a little bit more juice and a little bit more, you know, mantra to it than what even the U.S. Open does. I think because the U.S. Open's kind of like changing courses maybe every so often, and I know that that's kind of just what the U.S. Open is. But I mean, the players with, 17, you watched it last year where if you go back and you watch Rory hit his iron, and you could see J.J. Spaun was eyeing it up and down to see what iron Rory hit, and then he ended up hitting a different one, and he hit that ball in the water to give that tournament away. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of the Players' Championship and TP Sawgrass, is that there's a lot of pitfalls for these guys to fall into.
Explain for those who aren't aware about 17 at Sawgrass.
17 at Sawgrass. I don't know the exact yardage on it, but it's definitely it's surrounded by a lot of water. Last year I can remember it was some wind, which is only going to make it trickier. They obviously run those greens so freaking fast for these pros, and so it's hard to hold that green. There's a bunker in the front that can actually be a kind of a save or kind of a bailout, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to get up and down from there. So it was just fun last year when you saw that wind come into play and all that water, and you get down to like a 1-shot, 2-shot lead, and that water's just staring at your face. Like, that can't be good, even if you're the Scottie Scheffler or the Rory McIlroys of the world. And I think that's what makes the Players so much fun, is that water on 17 when you have such a tight race down the downcoming Sunday.
So yeah, Rory is the defending champion. The purse, the winner gets $4.5 million, which is a lovely day at the office. What is this? How does this shake out with the Live Tour? Who can play, who can't?
So this is, like you said, this is the fifth major, right? So there's only 4. So the Live guys are only allowed to play in the majors. That's the only way they can do it. But this tournament is such a prestigious place and everything like that. You do wish that the Live guys could come and play, because I mean, you sometimes watch this PGA Tour, you see that first page leaderboard and some of the names you're not really sure of, especially if you're just kind of the generic golfer. And I mean, that's the beauty of the major. And so it's like almost this one, you wish there was a 5th major to where they could involve the Bryson DeChambeaus and the John Rahms of the world, so that we could see those guys on the first page leaderboard, or kind of put some pressure on the PGA Tour guys. But unfortunately, that's not the case. We're still in a world where they think that it's big enough for 2 golf leagues, John, and that's kind of a bummer on my end. But still, very much looking forward to this one. Hope Rory has got some ice on that back so he can come back and try to repeat.
Now, I know we all have like our personal favorite times of the year when there's overlap. Like, some folks love it when it's the baseball playoffs and college football season, like in October. I love the springtime because it's college baseball and big league baseball, and then March Madness and the Masters. But like, is this week like the run-up to the national tournament? You got conference tournaments and you got the Players' Championship. Is this Nick Fazekas' maybe favorite week as a sports fan?
It's pretty high up on the list for sure. I mean, we've talked about it before. March Madness is just special, right? I mean, it's the most special time to watch basketball. I mean, the NBA Finals is what it is, but you kind of draw it out with 7 games. I mean, March Madness, that first weekend is so much fun. I mean, I can remember people taking time off work to watch it. I mean, if you're in Vegas or in any sort of sports book, Reno, to where you're kind of getting the whole vibe of everything. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. And then, yeah, you couple that with the players, and you have a horse in that race to see who's winning that tournament. So, like you said, it's a huge lead up to getting to the Masters, because that's not far away. But I mean, yeah, this is going to be a fun week for sports fans for sure.
All right, we'll take a quick timeout on the layup line. When we come back, we'll have our Japanese phrase of the week. That's next. Stay with us.
The following segment is sponsored by Northern Nevada Toyota Dealers.
John Ramey with you in Reno. Nick Fazekas joins us from Scottsdale, Arizona. Japanese phrase of the week, especially important now, Nick, as Nevada baseball is moving into conference play. And at the end of hoop season, I take the reins on the baseball broadcasts. And Mahiro Tomita, key contributor for the Wolfpack pitching staff from Fujisawa, Japan. He threw 5 2/3 on Friday in a win over Pacific. Didn't get the decision, but was outstanding. Struck out 5, walked none, gave up only 1 run on 4 hits. And I want to be able, when I get on the team bus, when we travel to Washington State at the end of March, I want to be able to drop something good and colloquial and, dare I say, hip on Mahiro. So help me out.
Got the perfect phrase for you, John. So the word for win is kachimasu.
Kachimasu?
So that just means like kachimasu. But when you see this kid getting off the bus and you want to give him a slap on the back, you tell him kachimasho. So that means let's go win, or let's go get the win. And it's very much like a rallying thing as well, to where like he's going to understand, and it's going to hopefully like jazz him up a little bit when you look at him and say kachimasho.
Kachimasho, and then I can also drop a saigo.
Saigo would work as well. That he would very much get down with both of those phrases, and he's going to understand both of them. And those are two very much phrases that I heard a lot when I was over there. And those guys, like I said, from a rallying cry standpoint, that's a big thing in Japanese culture and in Japanese sports. I think the guy would probably be completely shocked if you said kachimasho, and he probably would turn around and have to double take at you.
All right, Kachimasu, Wolfpack, Nevada in action in the postseason. Hope everybody rides along with us. He's Fazekas. I'm Ramey. It's been fun. We'll check in next week. We'll sort through it. Peace, everybody.